All right, so we're going to get into today's match review. We used to have two, but now we only have one. Let's see. I actually want to say this real quick in case this makes it to the YouTube. If you are Capital Shot as your username and you submitted a match review, you took your video down. I don't know if you meant to or if it got removed, but yeah. I'm not ignoring your match review. I just clicked on the link and the link doesn't work because it said the video was removed. So that's you. Make sure you fix that. But today, this match review comes to us from Holy Havel, who has, in their words, about 580 hours in the game of Dead by Daylight. I don't expect people to consistently have their fundamentals down in DBD till about 1K, so that being having relatively quick chases, being able to macro pressure the map and keep your control over your gens, that sort of thing, until 1K hours. Can you do it far before that? Yes, absolutely, especially if you're spending that time actually like learning, paying attention to feedback, or like if you hop in something really extreme on the deep end, like comp, for example. Balls are nice, but thank you. I appreciate it. I love your name, by the way. But typically for most players that aren't like on that fast track of learning, it's usually around 1K-ish. You are playing Jason, who is a very, very good character, and in most players' hands, they're like A- B+ tier. They're a very, very good solid killer, good map mobility, good projectile, good info. They're essentially kind of like a better built xenomorph, which is why I like them a lot and why they are going from very... I just realized that the bushes here, just like the bamboo here, just goes straight through the rock. That's so distracting. Anyways, it's just like phasing through it. Anyways, but yeah, that's why I like them a lot. They're my secondary, kind of slowly approaching co-main, just because like they are so fun to play and I understand them well enough. But generally a pretty strong character, especially if you're using like the really mean hens build. But I would actually recommend people not do that because you're learning a build and not the character. But the character won't be holding you back, TLDR. And your map, let's see, this looks like Sanctum of Wrath. It is in fact Sanctum of Wrath. Sanctum of Wrath is a pretty good map for both sides, really. It used to be it actually kind of used to lean a little bit on the killer side, just because like the eye shape of the map meant you could control the choke point on the Sanctum itself and force 3 gens, and you can still do that. But this is another map that, say the Lion Bart, got hit by pallet density, so now it's a little bit rougher to win on than it used to be. There's a lot of fillers in between a lot of the loops, so it's a little bit more difficult to win on. But I think like a lot these days that this map mostly goes either way. I don't think it's going to be working against you, but it's not necessarily going to be working for you either, because you can still, like I said, you can still control the choke point in the middle of the map and typically have a good time if you're willing and understanding enough to do that. But the pallet density will probably be arduous and frustrating at the same time. But take a look at your Addon Choices. You are using the mirror shards, not to be confused with spirit, which is survivors inflicted with are inflicted with the broken status effect after extracting a hook spike from the cells for 30 seconds. And you are also using the imprinted aluminum. Injuring a healthy survivor with a throwing spike inflicts them with mangled and hemorrhage, which is a pretty, standard add-on that gets given to most killers. Is you do X and then mangled and hemorrhage gets applied. It is slightly redundant because of a certain perk you're running, but we'll get to that here in a second. These add-ons, I don't dislike them, and obviously you're going for a full healing build, which, we're skipping ahead a little bit. So, like, these are the add-ons you would run with, like, a full anti-heal build. I personally don't enjoy them a great deal, just because, like, it's not that these add-ons suck, per se. It's just that, like, Jason is unfortunately a character that has a wealth of good add-ons. Like, they have a lot of good add-on design. So to run something like the simple, this happens and you get mangled and hemorrhage, and oh hey, if this happens, you get broken. Like, it's a little underwhelming compared to other add-ons that could fill these slots, even for like an anti-heal build. I will also say that when it comes to the imprinted aluminum, like that's, fair and consistent, because like you hit somebody with throwing spike, thing happens. It's a pretty standard add-on. But the mirror shards, whenever our survivors are inflicted with a broken status effect after extracting a hook spike from themselves for 30 seconds, this only applies to the hook spikes that you use and not the scrap spikes that you use. That hook thing where they go in and they have to like pull the hook out of them, that's only for hook spikes. So like half your spikes, this add-on isn't even like doing anything because it just like it doesn't happen. So this either means you have to be very, very consistent with using hook spikes as much as possible, which is kind of like a tax on you and your playstyle that you got to remember and do consistently. Which is already saying something, because you're kind of having to like go out of your way to get value out of this. So not a huge fan of that add-on. In terms of good add-ons, you could run, like I said, Jason has so many good add-ons. You have Deputy's Badge. That's the one where while you're in Omnipresent mode, you pass within 2 meters of a generator. It can explode for 5%, and survivors are faced with a special skill check if you fly by them and they're currently on it. You have the 2 nails, which is whenever you throw a spike that comes with 1 meter of a survivor, they have their aura revealed for 6 seconds, which is very excellent aura read, helps you hit your shots. People love Sauna Rock, which is after a jump scare, and any survivor that's affected by said jump scare gets exhausted for 13 seconds. There's a lot of really, really good add-ons you run on this character, so thankfully you have a lot of options. In terms of your build, you're going for an anti-heal build, which, that is it is a gimmick build. It's meant to do one specific thing, so it's kind of a little bit difficult to be like, oh, I don't like this perk or I don't like that perk, because they all kind of feed into each other. I think that it's also generally just kind of hard to keep people injured in modern DBD because of perks like Resurgence, Botany Knowledge, really good medkits, really good medkit add-ons. You guys were seeing me today play Survivor with the blue skill check add-on that was just like just like blowing through health bars even without Resurgence or a healing perk. It's just like really hard to keep people injured these days, so you're kind of fighting an uphill battle making an anti-heal build to begin with. So that's just a disclaimer I gotta give. Thana is kind of an iffy perk. It does synergize with the injures if you can keep them, but keep in mind it doesn't do basically anything until you reach that all 4 people on the team injured, and then like you get that hike in terms of how much that red bar is hitting the survivors. But like I said, it's very hard to keep people injured, much less all 4 people injured at the same time. So unless you're somebody like Legion or Plague who can really enforce that, you're going to be fighting an uphill battle again. Gift of Pain, great perk, makes sense because you are a character that primarily gets your downs through M2s. So you can apply the Mangled and Hemorrhage just by hooking somebody on a Scourge hook, which is nice. And then you get the additional slowdown to the like red bar gen situation by when they heal up, they get a red bar on their actions. I will say, once again, here that you are applying a double red bar, which does get hit by diminishing returns when it comes to Thana and Gift of Pain. So that is the same effect that's stacking, so that is going to be hit with diminishing returns. So Thana is already not doing a whole lot unless you have all 4 people injured, and now that effect is going to be halved because of diminishing returns. So this already was kind of a sketchy combo like before diminishing returns ended this conversation, but now it's going to be even less effective. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Not a fan, realistically, of Sloppy Butcher, because you are a character that should be getting your M2 hits as much as possible. You're not a character that should be going for M1s a whole lot of the time. You can take them here and there, of course, and every character that's an M2 character like does, besides like Henry, Huntress, stuff like that. But for the most part, you really should be hitting your M2 as much as possible, and I don't want you to fall into this trap of like forcing M1s just to get sloppy value. Like, you have Gift of Pain to do that. Gift of Pain applies Mangled and Hemorrhage whenever they get unhooked, so you already have a method to do that. There's no need to double up here. Nurse's Calling. I think it makes sense in the sense that, like, you're making healing tank longer through Mangled and Hemorrhage, but like I said with everything else, just keep in mind that, like, healing is kind of absurd right now in the current meta of DBD, so even with all this stuff, you may not necessarily catch somebody healing. Yeah, let's take another game. Already, I'm not sure why you're kind of like lumbering around per se. You have one of the best movement options like in the game besides like Blight or something like that, but you're not using your Omnipresent Evil for some reason to move around the map. Not sure why. Also, Omnipresent Evil also has a lot of base kit info that allows you to see and track survivors. So in addition to you having to kind of like lumber around the map and not really like have a lot of coverage with your pressure, just checking for survivors, you're also not getting the info of where survivors are, which is what you're having trouble with right now. It's like you have no idea where anybody is. So you really should be on the evil here. It should be worth noting as well that whenever you teleport, it's kind of loud. It should be noted whenever you teleport out of your Omnipresent Evil and jump scare, you get a 4.5% speed boost. So you go from being a 110 character up to essentially a 115 with some change left over. And what I see a lot of like Jasons that struggle do is that they'll just spend a lot of time in the game in 110. And sometimes you can't help that just because there's like if you're in chase, you kind of gotta commit. You can't just like let the survivor run away, get to a strong tile or reset. But realistically, like if you have any sort of like downtime, you should be like Omnipresent Evil, pick up a spike, teleport somewhere, reset your speed, and then go from there. So now you're starting this chase with being only a 110 character. So essentially, you not going Omnipresent Evil at the beginning of this is going to set you back a fair bit. You know what I just noticed, which is kind of cool? Look right here. You can see the reflection of Jason in the shovel here. Isn't that cool? I just spotted that. I've used that before, and I've never seen that. There's no reason, really, for you to do this here, because it's unless you want to take this pot shot at her, which is totally fine. But realistically, if you're going to hook Leon, you're going to get a spike anyways. Yeah, you're going for pot shot, then it's fine. But I'd say, otherwise, there was no point to do that, but yeah. Make sure to hook on the skirt, right? You were nowhere near that. I don't think you needed to swing. You really need to use your Omnipresent Evil. You've not been in it once. There you go. Finally. No. See how you're going to get this hit now because you actually have haste here? That's why I was talking about it earlier. It's important to keep applying that haste to yourself. It was really funny because when this character first came out, there was somebody in my YouTube comments that was like, "You should be leaving chase constantly to reset your haste. Don't do that. Don't go to the opposite extreme." I even hard tested that theory. Terrible. Don't do that. Like your shovel? It's not my shovel. I'm doing a match for you. That'd be crazy if I was playing with one hand. It's good to see you, Pally. Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, technically you're 114.5, but yeah, you're essentially 115. You hear that gen being worked on main building. I don't know why you're just kind of wandering around instead. Whenever you're just kind of like proxy camping like this, like just kind of hanging around the hook, you don't see it on your end, but the survivors do have an anti-camp bar, so the longer you just sit here and do nothing, not only are gens being progressed across the map if the team's actually like trying to win, but also you could potentially be giving this person a free unhook without needing another survivor because you're staying by the hook too long. So try not to do that. I think that they just kind of run up in your face for some reason. Okay, good dodge on her part. Yeah, realistically, you should be picking up another spike. Good job. Do you see how much harder of a time you're having because you're like doing this as a 110? This is why using Omni Evil and jump scaring a lot is important. Woo. Okay, you get some nurses value here. Nice. Yeah, I would definitely slug here. They're grouped up anyways. I go for the pick, that's fine. Your most suggestive tips? You're more than welcome to. I think some people start arguing with me about my tips, which is kind of weird. Yeah. But I think there's this. I think most people understand there's a difference between that. I'm glad you're finally starting to Omni Evil more often, but you should have been doing it from the start. Okay, you catch somebody on this gen. See, now you get those down because you were 114.5. See? Makes your chases nicer, doesn't it? Big Hook is crazy, by the way. So locked animation. Well, the problem is depending on the ping. If the survivor has like really good ping there, they make it anyways. Realistically, it's more, at least in whenever I'm playing a character that has a projectile like that, for me, it's false or not, but thank you, friend. It's more about like, good shot. Trying to, based on context clues, decide what they're going to do, like try to anticipate it. I've seen you on YouTube. Well, you're in the middle of one. We're doing a match review right now. You're YouTube maxing. I would have, yeah, I would stay on Elodie here because she's definitely. Okay, good. You're just giving him a smack. I don't think you can immediately start with Omnipresent Evil. You can. There's a cooldown of like maybe 5 seconds. And then you can. It's not a lot. I'm exaggerating, of course, but like you have to wait basically no time at all. Hi, Soul. Flip you out of there. Okay, good job sticking on the Death Hook Survivor. Good job. You hear somebody immediately on that gen as well, so you have somebody to chase right after. She ran by you. Yeah, she ran right by you. That was rough. Yes. Take your headache meds, keep the headaches away. Yeah, you're convinced this person's still here, but they literally ran right by you. Like, they, like, touched your side as they ran away. So, I'm kind of confused how you missed that. Maybe you're looking at your phone or something, or over at another screen. I think you're spending way too much time, like, kind of hovering in this area. Thankfully, Jake ran in here, but could have been bad. He's trying to drop this pallet on you. Oh, you had the right idea, just you didn't get the execution. He could have stunned you there. Yeah, grab your spike. Good, good. You're probably guessing he would dodge the other way. Also, to disagree with any cars isn't given as it was a personal attack. That's a deep cut. For everybody else, for reference, there was somebody who was like a regular submitter back in the day when I was like first getting the match reviews like really going as like a concept of thing that I did, who like I would give them their match review, and then in the chat there would be like a little combative about like the advice I was giving, but I would be like, okay, well, no, this is what you would do instead, and that's why you're in this situation, you know, just trying to like clarify as much as I can. But what would happen is it like it would escalate to the point where like I would wake up. I'm not kidding or exaggerating for entertainment or humor. I would wake up in the middle of the night to like a 3-page essay in my DMs, like correcting me on every piece of advice that I gave them the match review, and it happened more than once. Like they would crash out so much about the advice I would give them that they asked for. By the way, they sent in the match review. That was completely voluntary. But they would send me like these really long, like pages long messages at like 3 a.m. trying to like prove my advice wrong. And I'm like, dude, why are you asking me for advice then? It was really weird. Would you say I'm still a noob? I wouldn't say noob, but you're still learning for sure. I think it's good to stick in this area now because you have like a 3-gen here, but I think you sticking in one area basically the entire game is why the match is really close. You basically just like, whether it's proxying a hook or a gem that you found with a little bit of progress, you just like weren't very mobile, which allowed the survivors to kind of like do what they want. Got any tips for Jason? Well, we're doing a match review for Jason right now, so I'm giving tips in my time. P100 Swifts? I mean, P100 is not an indicator of skill, just time invested. P100 doesn't mean you're skillful. It just means you spend a lot of blood points. Realistically, you should have... Why did you do that? Realistically, you should have stayed on, Leon there. Because Leon was death hook. But I understand that leaving them because you didn't get that spike initially, and he was running away from your 3-gen. Yeah, my Xeno's P52. I'm terrible. You are doing a good job now, finally using your Omnipresent Evil to like pressure the map and get info, but you should have been doing this from the start. The fact that you did it so late is why you're in this situation. I mean, realistically, just besides like the showmanship of it, or like wanting specific add-ons, P100 is not that great. So, you know. You're new? I mean, I have plenty of characters, like P8, P6, the Maya noob. But the prestige system means nothing. It's not, you shouldn't be judging anything positively or negatively with that. Not good. Oh, she didn't throw that. Good. Greedy. Okay, they got Jacob. I know it's like cool YouTube clickbait, be like, my P100 Xenomorph bodied this P100 Swift. It's like, it doesn't mean anything. Those people are rage baiting you. That you're falling for it. Sorry. Sorry to break it to you this way, but like, your favorite YouTuber may be lying to you to get more money out of you. Shocker. Or the, this is what a P100 something something looks like. Prestige doesn't matter. Ooh, that was a good attempt. I respect it. Does that mean they do play the game more often than me? No. It just means they spend all their blood points in one place. You've been lied to. You've been brainwashed by Big Killer. You could have gone for that. You were probably scared by the bubble. See, like how you're doing. Ooh, that was a good attempt. There, you're like you're having a hard time catching up to her because you're slow here. If you had like Omni Evil to then like came through the window, maybe came around with 115 or 114.5, you would have been fine. But now she gets away. I will say, these players are doing a good job, but like every time they start a chase, they're running away from the 3-gun. Good attempt. You also kind of lagged there, which probably didn't help. They're playing well here. I would go for Leon here. He's death hook. Maybe select. Okay, something, I don't know, this, I feel like I give this advice on so many different match reviews, but like, this is the second time she's run directly by you, and thankfully you caught it this time, but like, that's the second time you just like let her run, like literally almost touch your body, and you just had no clue where she was. This is once again, like I'll say with the other match reviews, I don't know if like you're looking at, like you're checking your phone sometimes, you got loud music on, like something is making you unable to tell that somebody who's injured and loud and literally touching you is like not next to you. Like you're not clocking that for some reason. And I never know how to give advice whenever this happens, because it's like it's something external that I cannot see. So I don't know what's interfering with your ability to have like your basic senses working and like being able to clock that somebody's like right next to you. But something's off where like people are right next to you and you're not being able to tell that that's happening. So whatever external situation that you have that's causing that, should probably rectify that. I don't know what it could be, but something's making it hard for you to tell that people are so close to you that they can touch you. I would commit to this. Try to get Leon dead, so at least it's a 2v1 in the end game here. I know it's hard to aim on roller, so this isn't really your fault. Once again, this chase is being made harder because you haven't teleported in a long time, so you're just kind of like 110 man with spear. Because that's kind of like the thing that makes Jason like very threatening as a character. Yeah, you weren't even close to that, unfortunately. Is that like after he jump scares, he has the kind of like a 2-for-1 threat. He could just choose to mind game and come around with the lunge, or he could throw the spike. But when survivors know that like if you're at the 110 mode, they only have to worry about the spike, because realistically it's going to be really hard for you to catch up otherwise. Realistically, you probably should have got Leon out far sooner than now. But like we had talked about earlier, that's because you, for some reason, wanted to just stay on this side of the map the entire game with like no variation. Like you just wanted to hang out back here. Which meant that you weren't really putting pressure on different survivors, just only the ones that happened to walk into your zone that you were hanging out in. You try Xenon controller? What do you mean try? I've done it plenty of times. They were right there. They were, once again, they were literally right here. Like, not only do you have scratch marks, but they're literally running, and you can hear them. And I don't have my headphones on all the way, by the way. Like, they're kind of like off the side of my head, and I heard him running to the left. And you see these scratch marks. And you just, like, walk right by them. Something's off. Something with your awareness is not clicking. Once again, you need to be an omnipresent evil here. I don't know why you're like walking slowly back and forth. Nice, good shot. Well done. It's really he's really laggy, I think, because like there were scratch marks after that. Which means that like you hit him, but he also ran. It was weird. I'll just chill here till she leaves, honestly. You don't want to be in a situation where she like slides by you and gets the save, and then you're frustrated. Especially when you know the hook is that close to the door, that 15 seconds of endurance will definitely guarantee that escape if you don't stick nearby.
Yeah.
Range carrying Havel's ranked? Oh. That's not good. Being a fan of DBD and then playing something like Valorant and Rivals along the side too. Do that to yourself. See, that's why you needed to stay put, because you don't want them sneaking up and getting it. Thankfully that pallet's already gone, or else you would have been cooked there. That's why you don't do that. Don't underestimate a survivor's ability to be sneaky. Once again, what is that? He just vaulted a pallet right next to you in the game. Like, and this is so weird for me too, because it's like, not only was that a very loud noise notification, but like the game literally has an arrow that shows up on your screen and points directly at where that came from. But you're looking at the door like, I don't know where he is. Something's off here. You knew exactly where he was. It just feels like you're not really paying attention. Just kind of a severe issue. That's so bizarre. I get this a lot. Like, this is an issue a lot when it comes to like match reviews. Like I talked about in the middle of the match review. It's like, for some reason, this is a weird issue I see like semi-consistently where people like miss very obvious cues. And some of it can be explained, right? Because if you're playing on a TV monitor, sounds may not be as easy to be picked up. That I totally get. But like stuff like that, where there's like a visual cue on the screen and you just have no idea what's going on. You don't know where they are. You don't like, I don't know what could be causing that. And it's really frustrating on my end, because I don't know how to give advice for something that I don't know the cause of. Besides just don't do that, you know? But like it's complicated to unpack. Either way, let's go ahead and go into our main takeaways here. Number one, which we were just harping on, I think your biggest issue with like overall, which will follow you whether you're playing Jason or any other character, is like, for some reason your awareness, like your game awareness is like extremely bad. And I don't mean that in like a how dare you or I hate you or something, but like legitimately, like there were multiple times in this game the survivor was literally touching your model. They were so close to you and you legitimately had no clue where they are, which is like deeply concerning. There were times where there were very loud noises, whether that be like injury or footsteps that were once again right next to you, and you did not react to them in any way, shape, or form. And even especially there at the end where you were looking for Jake and you were like looking for him in the exit gate, he vaulted a pallet, which not only left a very loud noise like that played over either your headphones or your speakers, but also there was a giant arrow on screen, which is whatever happens when there's a loud noise notification and you're not looking at it, that literally pointed at where the direction of where that came from. And once again, you didn't react to it at all. So I just, that is something that, like, once again, I can't diagnose well, what's going on there. Like, like that is a level of a lack of awareness that I don't know where it could be coming from. Like I said, there's a lot of things. You're checking your phone mid-game, you're distracted by something else, something external is happening probably that's causing that, but like I don't know what it is, so I can't give you any other advice than just like fix that or manage that the best you can. Whatever is causing you to like have this general lack of awareness to this extent is hurting your gameplay more than anything else. Now, there's a lot of things that can potentially not be your fault, like deaf, hard of hearing, or something like that. If that's the case, you can't do anything about it. But I don't know that yet. You'll probably inform me if this gets to you in any way, shape, or form, like on the YouTube or something. But other than that, until I know that, you have an extreme awareness problem. And if you can change it, you need to, because that is why your games are so rough. At least from this one sampling. Because like if you're missing obvious cues that much, both visually and auditorily, like that's a problem. You will not be able to consistently play this game if like your awareness does not improve, or at least consistently win your games if that awareness does not improve. That is that is an issue. Probably your number one issue. Second, and this is Jason specific, your second takeaway is that Omnipresent Evil is probably just as important of a tool as your spikes are. Not only is it a extremely great tool for traversing the map extremely quickly, but also gives a ton of base kit info where survivors are, whether that be footsteps or their little red mist auras when they're doing something. Like, you get a lot of info in this power, and you get to move around the map extremely quickly while using it. But despite that, you like really didn't use your Omnipresent Evil more than like a handful of times throughout this game, despite it being just as important part of your power as the actual spikes themselves. And this led you to this really awkward kind of like fumbling around and just kind of like meandering and hoping you would stumble upon survivors to pressure, which is undercutting how potent and strong Jason's kit is. Because his ability to like quickly get into chase, quickly end chase, and then go back to another chase or go back to another gen to pressure. That's kind of like the flow of this character is use Omnipresent Evil to grab spike if you don't have one, fly around until you get to the destination you want to get to, or the info rats out somebody you didn't know was around. And then you start that chase, you end the chase quick with the spikes, and then you hook them and you start the process all over again. So the fact that you're just like not doing half of the character's kit entirely is not good. You need to start implementing Omnipresent Evil far more often into your gameplay flow. I think the third main takeaway, and it's kind of tied into that second one, is like for some reason like you went to the backside, the shack side of the Sanctum of Wrath here, and for some reason you just kind of like didn't want to leave that area at all. It would be one thing if you were trying to like hold down a 3-gen, but like to do it that early with like frankly not the build to do it with. You could do, like I can see that as a play style. More so you should probably be playing characters like Singularity or something if you want to do that. But if you want to do this, you probably shouldn't be using like an anti-heal build, because in that case what's going to happen, what did happen extremely often as you saw, is if you intentionally did this and you're trying to hold a 3-gen from 5 gens, then like they just, every time they are mangled and hemorrhage, they just go to the other side of the map and reset. they're not going to reset often in the area that you're hunkered down on. So it really didn't synergize if that was like a plan, but I don't think, just based on your gameplay, I don't think that was a purposeful choice. I think you just kind of like weren't using Omnipresent Evil, so you had no idea where people were, so you just kind of got like either anxious or indecisive and decided to stay in the same spot, which, like I was saying earlier, when you like didn't like have anybody death hook, is like what happens if you only stay on one side of the map forever, you basically only pressure the people that come into those areas. So you kind of can't pick and choose the most efficient survivor to chase, whether that be like low chase time or death hook or whatever it happens to be, if you're just sitting in one area and only taking what comes to you. Especially with a character like Jason, who has such a good map mobility option, you really shouldn't be in a situation like that where you're just kind of like hunkered down and only staying in one area the whole game. There wasn't really a reason for that, especially when you were just kind of like sitting there just like proxying the hook on Pride Rock there. That was kind of like, it was kind of like you just let the survivors in the background do a bunch of gens uncontested. That didn't really benefit you too much. So try not to, like, I always say this in a lot of match reviews, is that like committing to a plan that doesn't end up working out potentially is always better than just doing nothing. Because DBD at the end of the day, whether you're survivor or killer, is a game of time management. Whoever is more efficient in their use of their time usually wins the game. So definitely don't be in a situation where you're just kind of like, oh, I don't know where they are, so I'll just hang out here, I guess. Like that is how the survivors either reset, they do gens in the background, because if you're not utilizing your time, they probably are. So doing something that may not be the best idea is better than doing nothing. So try to implement that into your gameplay. There was more stuff, but I don't think I'm going to overload you with too many takeaways, because I think those three are pretty important. Those are the reasons that this game was extremely close and could have went very, very poorly for you. So what I would like to see is for you to work on those and try to get those into a good spot, and then maybe submit another match for you. That way I can actually focus on a lot of the other smaller stuff that's affecting you, because once you get those big ones out of the way, you're going to have a much better time. And then we could be like, okay, well, here's the little things that are still nagging at your ability to consistently win games. But for now, focus on those.